Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business. I hope you had an amazing day. Today, coming to the mic is Katie Hornor, who is a popular Christian author, women's business coach, and international keynote speaker. After leaving all for ministry opportunity overseas, only to have it pulled from under them, Tab and Katie Hornor built a business and a movement in their second language among the fastest growing market demographic in the world. Katie has created the only literature-based homeschool curriculum that exists in the Spanish language, the first in history online summit for Spanish-speaking home educators, 24 online courses, over 50 self-published books, including 5 bestsellers, and teaches her coaching clients to get their message out so that they too can change the future for their clients. Katie lives abroad in southern Mexico and is a host of the show For Your Success podcast, a women's business mastermind and semi-annual retreats for women business owners. You can find her at handprintlegacy.com. Well, welcome, Miss Katie. You are more than a busy bee.
Yes, that's fabulous.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
A pleasure to have you. So Tell me how all this got started.
Oh, my goodness. Well, my husband and I came to Mexico in 2007 to work in ministry. And in 2010, we had a ministry change. And then 9 months later, that assignment got pulled out from under us. And so we were here in Mexico with very little funding and didn't want to go back to the States, didn't want to have a, quote, real job. But we also had 4 kids and we had to be able to support ourselves in some way. And we were beginning to homeschool our kids and realized the need for the curriculum in Spanish. There was not very many options at that time, and my master's degree in education and curriculum development came in handy there. We said, well, we could do that. We could do something about that. And so our initial business, starting with just our last $5 in the bank, was to start creating this curriculum that we could sell online and then support these Spanish-speaking parents, because there was no one giving any kind of online training or online support at that time. And from there, it's grown, and it now is a ministry and a business that reaches around the world. And we've also added in the coaching for the English-speaking entrepreneur women who want to get their message out as well.
Oh, awesome. That is fabulous. That is so fabulous. And speaking of homeschooling, I homeschool my son, and we started pretty much from the cradle. And by the age of 2, he knew all his ABCs. He could count to 100. He could do cursive writing. Homeschool is very, very, I think it's a good way for kids to start out, because when a kid is 2 years old, they're like sponges. Mm-hmm. They really want to soak in whatever knowledge you have to give them.
Right.
And having that Christian base, because we did the Abeka homeschool program, which also brought in, learning about the Bible as well as learning your ABCs, which I think makes for a well-rounded individual to ensure that they understand that there's something bigger than them. Even if they don't understand the whole concept, just know this is bigger than you.
Right. Our preschool through 6th grade curriculum does include a Bible component. However, we serve people of faith and people who are of other faiths. And so all of our pieces can be mixed and matched. If they have a different piece of it that they're already using or something that they like differently, then that can be replaced. So it's very versatile, and it's an amazing way, especially for people of low income, because once you invest in a packet, with it being based on literature, you're not having to write in all the books and throw them away when you're done at the end of the year. You can reuse the majority of the books for the next student in the family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Now, one of the things when I was homeschooling my son, we didn't break for summer. We did homeschooling all year round, because what I found, by noon, we were pretty much done. And it was fun time after that. So we didn't find a need to have summer break.
Right. And that's the flexibility of it. You can do schooling 4 days a week and take long weekends. You can, pile stuff up during the year, or take a break or a vacation or a trip, or, you can adjust the schedule to your family's needs rather than always being subject to the school system's calendar.
Yes. And it's so funny you say that, because we went on a cruise, and every morning after breakfast, we did his schoolwork first on the ship. So that way, after we did his schoolwork, he had the rest of the day to play.
Right. And that routine is good for kids.
Yes.
Some people think, I would never take schoolwork with me on a trip. Well, that's your prerogative. But some children really do better when they know what to expect every day. And every day they know after breakfast, I'm going to be doing this. That gives them sort of a stability in their routine that they really do well with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they get used to it, just like you said. It's like getting up, brushing your teeth. I know that after I eat my breakfast, I got to go study, So that's an awesome thing. Now, your students, how do they get their, this is always the question with homeschooling, social skills. That's always been that's a problem. Which it's not.
Yeah, but it always comes up somehow, right?
Yes.
The big myth of socialization, we get the question in Spanish as well, but the truth is, when you've got more free time and more time to interact with people at home and in your community, you learn to relate to children younger than you, and adults, and even grandparents and things like that. And that's what our people are finding as well, that socialization is not really the issue, especially because, like you said, when you're finishing your schoolwork in a couple of hours versus 8 hours a day, then you have time for extra exercise classes or music or art or, sports and things like that, where you can get involved with other people, children your own age or of other ages. And so really, it's the people who are new to the idea that usually ask about socialization, because once you start doing it and you see how well adaptable your child is to being able to carry on a conversation with anyone, then it really is not an issue.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. So, like your kids that you have, what grades do you teach?
Well, our curriculum company provides the curriculum for preschool, kindergarten, and first grade through sixth grade. So we have a training class for parents who want to learn how to be better teachers or how to do this homeschool thing, right? Many of them think, I don't have a teaching degree, I could never homeschool my kids. And so we have a 6-week program that takes them through an orientation and a basic training for how to find materials and how to plan your homeschool day and things like that, how to organize yourself to get your stuff at home done, as well as the teaching and all of that. And then the materials come in a package with all the books and things that you would need, as well as a teacher's guide that would tell you what to do every day and what subjects and what books and things in order to complete that year of school in that 180 days. So I'm not doing a lot of the teaching except for supporting and encouraging parents as they're doing the work of training their children.
Very interesting.
That's good.
I have one friend who homeschooled her son he went to school for the kindergarten, first grade. She homeschooled him for the first grade. And when she finished, by the time he went back, she put him back into school, he was so far ahead of the rest of his classmates.
Right.
And still is. He just excels. And it's from that base that he received homeschooling. And she was able to incorporate so many other, like you said, activities and experiences that he would not have had the opportunity to do in a regular school. So he even got to travel quite a bit because he was homeschooled. He went to South Africa and London, Nigeria. You know, he really traveled. And so now he feels he's ready to travel again. But, you know, it's just really interesting. I've met another family who also homeschooled their 3 children. And just the quality of the education was in so many ways superior to what they received in a regular school. I just really appreciated their level of competence and like the whole thing about socialization. They had no problems talking to me or to anyone else for that matter.
No.
And they had a real basis of knowledge to speak from. So I think that homeschooling is in so many ways, if you have the desire and the willingness and the patience, is really an opportunity for your children.
Yes,
really
I totally agree. And all of us flourish when we have one-on-one attention, right? Even as adults, even in business, we're looking for a coach who can walk us through things one-on-one, right? And the same it's the same for the children. If any amount of time that they are able to spend in a small group setting or with an adult speaking into their lives, it's going to help them in tremendous ways. And the problem in the Spanish world is that for so long they thought that this wasn't available to them, that this wasn't an option if they didn't speak English. And you know, now we're saying, no, you can. There's not just our company, but now we have about 6 different companies to choose from in terms of curriculum. And now we have brought to you online conferences, so you don't even have to travel to get training to do this. And there's online classes for the parents and online classes for the kids starting to come out now. You know, and so we're really opening their eyes. And a lot of countries in Latin America didn't ever have to deal with this before. Now they're having to say, okay, what are we going to do with homeschooling? Kind of like it was in the States here in the late 70s and early 80s, right? So it's very exciting time in the Latin American homeschool movement for sure.
Yes, and I'm sure the kids. Now, how do the kids respond? How do they like it?
Most of them really enjoy it. And I mean, just like English speaking kids, you know, they enjoy not having to get up early, not having to be in school so long, you know, all the one-on-one time, the extra things they get to do. You do have those social butterflies that may miss that time with the friends. And that's where we're encouraging the parents to look for other activities that they can get involved with outside of their studies. But for the most part, you know, those kids seem to adapt really, really well. And I'm not one who believes that it's an all or nothing. I think homeschooling is a decision that has to be made on a yearly basis, on a per child basis. What's best for this child this year? And so we're always encouraging our parents as well to take a look at things and to make the decision, not because of a child's influence, but really as the parent, look at all the things, lay it out on the table and decide, is this still the best option or is there something better? Because it may not always be the best option.
Yeah, because I homeschooled my son till he was 8 years old. And then I had to I let him go to school, but I didn't let him go to public school because I felt like coming off of a homeschool type environment and then going into a classroom of 30 kids, that's trauma.
Yes, for sure. Whether you're a child or adult, that might be.
Right. He would have been like, what in the world? So basically what I did, I found a private Christian school. It was like 8 kids in the class. So I'm just like, oh, this is it. This is close enough to homeschooling. So he did that for a few years. And then at the high school level, we went back to homeschooling. Which, you know, was still a great experience because he was able to get done everything by 1 o'clock.
Right.
And plus they provided him with a laptop printer, and then they had special little activities outside that they participated in and got graded for.
Right. There are co-ops and different group things available in several places that you can get involved with too, like that.
So now for the younger kids, I heard you say something about this training for the parents, because you definitely have to be trained when you're dealing with on the younger levels, because the attention span at first, you know how that goes.
Right.
So what are some of the things you teach your parents to do in terms of, because they have to get used to it and the kids have to get used to it. So everybody is like in this new learning mode about homeschooling. So tell us some of the things that you do in order to prep the parent as well as the child.
Right. So if the parent is pulling a child out of school, then there's something called deschooling or unschooling, where you sort of take a certain period of time, a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months, to sort of retrain your thinking and figure out what it is that your goals are for this homeschool experience. It's my personal opinion, and the way we run our business is that home education should not just be recreating a classroom situation inside of your home, but rather establishing a lifestyle of learning and creating this idea that everything we do is part of our education. Like you said, with the travel and with the work life things that happen, all of that learning should not be relegated to a desk or to a classroom, right? Mm-hmm. And so, especially if the parent has been in school and the child has been in school, we've got two brains to sort of retrain in the way that we're looking at what education really is. If they haven't been to school yet, then it's a matter of usually trying to calm them down and let them know that it's okay if they're not reading by age 3, right? Mm-hmm. It's okay to not put pressure on them. If you've studied music, you know that a child who starts music lessons at age 3 and a child who starts music at age 6 will progress at the same rate from 7 on, right? And so if we can enjoy what we do with our children, reading books and playing games and counting and doing letters and things like that, just in a very normal, nonchalant, family time kind of way, mm-hmm. they're going to have a much better experience. It's going to leave their heart and their minds open to homeschooling, right? When we don't force reading upon them as something they have to do to measure up or to get a certain grade, it becomes something that they can then enjoy and look forward to, and it becomes a much better experience for everyone. And so a lot of the training that we do with the parents is around these mindset issues and helping them to see things from a way that will allow them to make a healthy foundation for the education they're going to give their kids.
I really appreciate what you just said. That's an awesome way of arranging things, of helping people. And right now, when you think about the way that most people think of education, it is in a building with a whole lot of other stuff going on, and they're forced to learn a certain curriculum. And every class, as they go through each grade, every grade has a set curriculum. So there's no room, not only for all the other little variations that you can do in homeschooling, but setting up a mental attitude, a mindset mm-hmm. of learning for the rest of their lives. Because that's one of the things that many people just don't do. They get to a point where they stop learning or wanting to learn, or they think that they've graduated and, they've done everything else and, life is fine. But learning is really a lifelong process. We should learn something new every 2 or 3 days. That's kind of my thought. Or have that curiosity. Mm-hmm. So I like that. And I can see parents benefiting from that whole mindset. You're just opening the parent up to the learning experience and wanting to learn more.
Yeah, and I think that's the only place to start is through the mindset, because, you get some kids, I hate this, I hate that. But it's like they hate it because it's forced on them. They got to get this grade by the end of the semester. And the same way with college. It's the same type of thing. the teacher, the professor pretty much gives you the information, and it's really up to you to understand it.
Right.
And if you don't understand it, they're not going to waste time trying to help you understand it, because they're following a schedule.
Yeah.
That maybe your mind don't fit in.
Exactly.
And that's it. Right? Your mind does not fit that book or whatever it is that they're using.
Right.
The schedule of learning. It's like, no, I don't learn that way. And everyone learns differently. And, when it comes to, one of my favorite subjects was history and English, not so much math. Not at all math, let me be honest. But what helped me was that when we went on school events, we would go to places that would pique my interest. Like we're in Maryland. So if you take them to, they may say, I don't like science. I don't like the whole idea of ants and animals. But if you take them to, we have a National Refuge Research Center nearby. Kids love stuff like that. If you approach, the zoo with more of an attitude of let's observe the animals, what you notice about the animals, kids pick up on that immediately. They pick up on it. Their minds go, wow. I just went to a violin concert for students, young students. There was a little boy there who was 4 years old playing this little teeny tiny violin. And, his little concert was only 10 seconds, I guess. But it was amazing to see how he enjoyed it. It wasn't like he was oh gosh, I've got to do this, because my parents are watching. They enjoyed it. And that's, to me, that's what learning is. It's, you have to be able to enjoy what it is you're learning, and then your whole person becomes involved. It's not just something in a notebook or something on a blackboard.
That's a good point you make about enjoying it, because that's one of the things that we see with our parents is that when you have a success, or even in business, we say, give them a quick win, right? When you have something that can be seen as a success, something they can feel good about that they've accomplished, that makes them want to put all the much more work into it. And setting them up for success means knowing when to back off and give them a little more time to learn this concept, or knowing when they've got it and we don't need to beat that horse over the head 3 more days because he's got it. Let's just move on. And those are things you can't do in a school with a curriculum that is only built for one kind of person. We've got kinesthetic learners and audible learners and visual learners, and you can't have a one-size curriculum fits all when you're doing that. Somebody's going to get left out. And then what happens? They're frustrated, or they can't keep up, or they're made to feel stupid, and they start acting out to cover up for how they feel. And you can't learn when you feel inadequate, or when you feel afraid or unprotected, right? And so homeschooling allows us to give those students the atmosphere and the tools and materials necessary according to their personality and their learning style and their talents, so that they can be set up for success in the future. I tell my people all the time, we're not raising kids. We're raising future leaders of countries here. These are the adults of the next generation. And you can't just say, I'm raising a kid. You're not raising a kid. You're raising an adult. You're raising, tomorrow's politicians and tomorrow's doctors and tomorrow's lawmakers and tomorrow's pilots. These kids are going somewhere, and we've got to have that long-term vision to say, what's going to set them up for success better? Is it better to put them in a classroom with 30 kids and a talented teacher? Or is it better to bring them out and give them some one-on-one time where they can pursue their interests and their talents and really perfect what it was that they were made for? Because the school system expects us all to learn the same thing and all of us to get the same grade on the same material. But then the minute we graduate, they suddenly expect us to stand out in some way and be different so we can get the job instead of somebody else. And it's like this, it doesn't make sense the way that we're taught to do education these days.
I love what you're saying.
I do
just hope all of our listeners are paying attention, because we are absolutely developing future adults.
Yeah.
And on that note, I just have to tell a quick story of my own. I said I don't do math well. Later on in life, I was better, but I basically just passed algebra with the skin of my teeth. Geometry, I passed, just by the skin of my teeth. But the summer before I went into my junior year of high school, I made up my mind I was going to take math again, and I didn't have to. It was an elective by that time. But we were doing trigonometry. And I don't know whether it was because I determined that I was going to do it or what, but trigonometry was a breeze for me. And I always look back at that. And one of the reasons, like you said, there are all types of learners. Trigonometry for me was visual.
Mm-hmm.
I could see how I could build a house using trigonometry. I could see the angles and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Algebra, geometry never made sense to me. But trig made sense because I'm a visual learner in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the creative aspect of using trigonometry. I could build things with it. I could, there are angles everywhere.
Yeah.
And I could see that. But you could not tell me that a line runs into infinity and then you want me to measure part of it. My mind was not going there. It's like, it goes into infinity already. How can you measure something that's infinity? And that was my way of thinking. And children have different ways of thinking. That's why homeschooling gives you such an opportunity, I think, to see into a child's mind, to see how they visualize things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that my friend did with her son, he loved Legos. So part of his playtime was Legos. And oh my goodness, what this little boy would created. And he could explain all the little gizmos. And they were mostly things, spaceships and things, and
Mm-hmm.
these future airplanes. And I was like, explain to me what all these little gadgets, that you have on. He had a perfect explanation. This is at 7 years old, a perfect explanation that absolutely made sense. And he was building from Legos, and not the big ones, the little tiny ones.
Right.
With such precision.
Right.
What goes on in a child's mind is so precious.
Yeah.
And I have to commend you for recognizing that and seeing the need in the Spanish community and putting this together so that everyone can come out on a level playing field into the world, because we're not anymore United States citizens or Peru, we're citizens of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be prepared, not just to step out in their own country, but now to step out into the global community.
Yeah.
And they're going to be prepared for that. And I can tell that from what you've been saying, that's what you're giving them, which is, I commend you for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
So how can people get involved with your program?
Well, all of what we do is at handprintlegacy.com, and you can follow either the Spanish side of things or the English side of things from there. Lemonhaus.com is our curriculum and our conferences. We have an annual online summit every September, October-ish, and that is a free online event for whoever wants to sign up, and that is at lemonhaus.com/conference.
Okay, so now give it to us in Spanish.
Nuestra conferencia cada año está en septiembre, octubre, por ahí. Es completamente gratuito para inscribirse y el enlace es lemonhaus.com/conferencias.
All right, that sounds so beautiful. It sounds like a song.
Oh, thank you.
I am so amazed with what you're doing.
Well, the truth is every one of us in the United States knows someone who speaks Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could just tell the people that we know who speak Spanish that homeschooling is available to their people in their language, so many more people would be willing to take it up. Because the biggest question we run into all the time is, I can't do that. I don't speak English, or I don't think it's legal in my country. And it is becoming more and more legal in more and more countries every month. And there are way more resources than even there were 7 to 10 years ago. And it is absolutely a possibility and an option for your child.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, and it just so happened, I live in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is really big on homeschooling, more so than Maryland when I was in Maryland. But homeschooling in Pennsylvania is huge, really huge.
Right. And it's growing all over the states, and now it's growing in other countries too.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
They estimate there's about 10,000 families in Mexico homeschooling, and we had 42 countries, I believe, who registered for our people from 42 countries at our summit last year.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's really something.
That is really something.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is amazing. So a lot of people are definitely, and plus with all of the shootings in the schools, all the different crimes that are going on in school, homeschooling becomes even more advantageous.
Yes.
Because at least you can control your surroundings as opposed to going to school and possibly getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1,000,001 reasons to homeschool,
and
everybody's got a different one.
Yeah, values that don't agree with your home values, yet your child is exposed to them, and because they're human, they can be influenced very quickly. There's so many things going on in their young lives, trying to fit in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that they can be influenced very quickly. So homeschooling is a way of having them at home and being able to build them up so that they have that strength to combat what they meet once they step out into the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And our family units are being so broken up these days. We separate every morning to go our ways to work and school, and then we've got after school activities, and then we've got nighttime jobs, and then we've got sports and things like this, and very rarely is the family unit together. And I don't know about you, but I don't remember a lot of the content that I learned in school, but I remember my teachers and how they made me feel.
Yes.
Right? And so when you are the teacher, when you're able to spend that time investing in your child, it's forming really strong family bonds through the things that you study together and experience together and the conversations that you can have that will make your family stronger in the future than if you're all split up all the time going different directions.
It's interesting you should say that because in a way, homeschooling is like doing coming 360. Basically, that's originally where you learned everything. And I mean, you're talking hundreds of years ago, perhaps, but still, that's where you learn how to cook, how to clean, how to sew, how to be a carpenter, how to be a blacksmith, how to be a furrier, how to be whatever. Right. It was all taught within the home.
Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago. It was only 100 years ago.
Yeah, right. You can say even up to 100 years ago, everything was centered around the family, and now, like you said, our families have been broken up in so many ways that children don't have that basis of knowledge, of togetherness, and having the family as, the foundation for their life.
Right.
And unfortunately now people, and I remember when that first started and they started talking about the problems with television and the fact that television took over and started raising our children. And, Sesame Street did a wonderful job. It still continues to do. Yeah. But again, the family input, the input of family, be it mother and father, mother and grandmother, whatever, that family input is so important to a child. It gives them that foundation and makes them feel secure.
Right. And as an example of that, we have 5 children, and I took one of them with me on a trip last year, and we were able to go to one of those jump houses, where they've got the big trampolines and she had a fabulous time. But when we finished and we walked out of there, you know what she said? Mom, it would have been so much more fun if the others had been with us today. And the family unit just becomes so strong and so well knit. Like, that's what you want, right? You want your kids to be best friends. And I don't really know of a better way to do it. Now, you can homeschool and still let the TV raise your child. It does take some discipline on the part of the parent too. I think sometimes we actually learn more than they do, but as with everything, there are pros and cons, and the family time and the family bonding is definitely a pro.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's very, very important, especially in today's world. It's like, in my household, I designed my kitchen strategically so that we have really comfortable chairs at the table. So on Saturday mornings, I fix this fabulous breakfast, and we sit there for at least a couple of hours together. Because, during the week, I'm gone, my husband is somewhere, my son is working. The only time we're really together is on the weekend. So I took the hard wooden chairs out and put some nice, comfortable chairs you can lean back in. So now everybody is comfortable to sit for a period of time in the kitchen.
Right.
That communication.
Yes.
An arrangement for communication.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, now they look forward to it. Because first of all, they like to eat.
They don't have to cook because Mama's cooking.
Right, and Mama gonna cook some good stuff, so I can whisper breakfast and everybody show up.
Right. Well, and that's something you had to do with intentionality. Right?
Yes.
Even if you don't homeschool or you can't homeschool, you can do some of those things to be more intentional with your family time, just like you did. What could we do to make family time more of a priority? What could we do to change up our schedule so that we're together more often, or so that we can eat as a family a couple of times a week? Or, could we turn the Wi-Fi off at a certain time of night so at least we've got an hour before bed to talk to each other?
Right.
There are things that you can do even apart from having a homeschool lifestyle that allow you to do some of that bonding as well.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, talk a little bit about your women empowerment.
All right. So a couple of years into business, I decided that I had struggled on my own long enough and I needed a community, and I couldn't find one. And so in a moment of desperation, like some of us do, well, if I can't find it, I'll make my own kind of thing, I opened up the Blog Connection, which has become an amazing community of new to intermediate online business owners, all women, who are going from sort of a hobby mindset to a business mindset. And they're in all kinds of niches. They're serving homeschoolers. They're serving faith-based audiences. They're serving organization or home decor or women's fashion. They're in all different niches, but they're coming together in this community to learn how to do business. And in that community, they're finding what they needed to have confidence and to change the way they think about what they're doing in their business so that they're a better business manager and a better leader for their team, right? They're learning about affiliate marketing and about email sequences and about putting products together and opt-ins and, list growth and all of the things that go along with online business. And we're able to do that in this community. And then when they graduate from that, if they want to upgrade, then we move them into the Queen's Mastermind. And the Queen's Mastermind is a 12-month program where we go more into leadership and legacy. We're looking at the way you lead your audience, the way you lead your people, the way you lead your team, and what are you leaving behind? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What are you doing now that's going to make a difference into the future and outlast you? If you were discapacitated tomorrow for some reason, like, who's going to teach what you teach? Who's going to continue to take your genius and your knowledge and pass it on to the next generation? If you don't have a book or a course or something like that, we got to get that made, because none of us is promised tomorrow, and your legacy needs to live on. And so we're helping them develop not just their message and their business, but also that long-term vision of impact. With the more money I can make, the more people I can impact, right? And what difference am I making in the world that's going to make a difference even after I'm gone? And so with that Queen's Mastermind, we have 2 live retreats every year where we all come together. And then in their small groups of 6 people, we do weekly online meetings and special trainings every now and then to keep everybody on track. We do hot seats, we do deep dive coaching, and things like that, so that they can really move their business forward and stop being just a manager, start being a queen with a vision towards the future.
I heard that. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So how did we meet? I forgot how we met. Where did we meet?
Group. In the Facebook group.
Oh, okay. Women supporting women.
Yes.
That's an awesome group.
Yes, it is.
It's like, I don't care what you put out there, somebody's going to respond to it. Somebody always responds. I really like that group. It's amazing. I've interviewed quite a few women from that group on this show. So it's definitely been working for me. And I get to meet women all over the world in that group. It's like women from every place, and I get to share in their first, because I see a lot of posts. I got my first sale. And everybody's like, congratulations and kisses. And, that's the kind of camaraderie that's important, just like for our children that we spoke about before, to be able to celebrate those small wins.
That's right. Yeah.
That's critical.
It is critical. And you need that community, not just to celebrate with you, but also to call you out on your stuff.
Right.
Or, to say, hey, that's not a big deal. You need to get over yourself and just do it. Or, on the down days, on the days when your launch didn't go the way you wanted, or when the sale didn't come through and you think it's the end of the world, you need somebody there to encourage you and
Absolutely.
to help you. Sometimes it's that outside perspective. We're so in it that it's hard to see what we need next.
Yes.
And that community is so important.
Yes. Yes.
So overwhelmed.
Yes.
We need somebody else to kind of pull us out of the water.
Yeah, because I run an organization for women as well. And all of what you're talking about, I've been on the phone sometimes with some of the ladies until we fall asleep on the phone. And, and I gotta listen to, I cry sometimes because it's not always beautiful. Business is definitely not glamorous at all.
No, I just did a podcast 2 weeks ago called Why I Quit and What Keeps Me Coming Back. And I told him, I was like, I quit a couple of times a month.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You go have your cry and you go get some perspective from someone else and you come back to it. You remember your why and you come back to it.
That's right.
If this is what you're meant to do, then there is no quitting.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That is so true. So true. So how do people connect to your organization?
Well, again, handprintlegacy.com. You can find out about the coaching and the mastermind retreats there. And my podcast is foryoursuccesspodcast.com. And Instagram is where I'm the most active, at Katie Hornor. And it's HORNOR.
Oh, okay. By the way, I wanted to tell you earlier, that color really looks good on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it just looks really good on you. I am so glad that we connected.
I'm very grateful. It's been wonderful talking with you guys today.
Yes, and your sunshiny aura, it's like you make me smile.
Well, thank you.
I really enjoyed this. So one more time, how do people connect with you in English and in Spanish?
In English, katiehornor.com or handprintlegacy.com. They both go to the same place. And if you're looking for our Spanish materials, it's lemonhass.com. LEMONHASS. Lemonhass.
Okay. And Spanish?
Okay. Si están interesados en coaching en inglés, pueden ir a katiehornor.com o handprintlegacy.com. Y si quieren más información de educación en casa, a los que hablan español tenemos entrenamiento para los padres y también nuestra conferencia en septiembre. Todo esto más los materiales, el plan de estudio está en lemonhass.com.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. You are a fabulous guest.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It's been delightful.
Yes, it has. Thank you.
Word on the street says there's something new at Just Minding My Business Media. You've heard our podcast, Just Minding My Business Radio, that brings news and views you can use. That airs every Thursday at 6 p.m. on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and Spreaker. Well, now you can watch Just Minding My Business. That's right, Just Minding My Business Media now has a TV presence on Raven International TV Network, broadcast on Roku, Fire, and Apple TV. Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV, through Just Minding My Business dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Hear it for yourself. Visit jmb.assistercircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Thank you to the amazing women of A Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, and our media partners. Let Just Minding My Business Media promote your business. For information, visit us at jmb.assistercircle.org. That's jmb.assistercircle.org. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks, for when you want to be heard. Call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.